The alarm bells rang through the command center of the Hegemony Third Fleet. Admiral Hyan sat up in his chair, his blue skin darkening with concern. In his 200 years of service, he had never heard the emergency alert sound like this. "Report," he ordered, his voice cutting through the noise. Sensor technician Nari looked up from her station, her 4 eyes wide with confusion. "Sir, we have a problem. A big one." "Explain." Nari's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. The main screen showed a map of the Kepler sector, filled with green dots representing known ships and stations. But there was something else. A red dot moving across the display at impossible speed. "An unknown vessel has appeared at grid 779. It's not in any of our records, nothing even close to it." Admiral Hyan stood up, his tall frame casting a shadow over the bridge. "Crew, show me the ship." The screen changed to show a strange vessel unlike anything in the Hegemony databases. It was smaller than their warships, but larger than a typical civilian transport. The design was smooth and curved, with no visible weapons ports or standard. "Drive systems. Where did it come from?" Hyan asked. "Unknown, sir. It just appeared on our sensors 15 minutes ago. But here's the strange part. It's moving at 0.97 light speed without using hyperspace lanes." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew that was impossible. Ships could only travel that fast through the established hyperspace tunnels. That connected star systems. No one had figured out how to move that fast through normal space. "Are our sensors working properly?" Hyan demanded. "I've run 3 full diagnostics, sir. Everything checks out. The readings are correct." Far across the galaxy, Captain Taman stretched in his command chair aboard the Soul's Pride. The human ship had been traveling for 4 months, returning from their mission to explore the outer rim of their galaxy. The crew was tired but excited to get home to Earth. "How much longer until we reach the Sol system?" Taman asked. Navigation Officer Jisoo looked up from her calculations. "About 18 hours at our current speed, Captain. The new fold drive is working perfectly." Taman smiled. The fold drive was humanity's greatest achievement, a way to bend space around their ships instead of traveling through it. While other species might use hyperspace tunnels or quantum jumps, humans had found a completely different solution. "Any signs of other ships out here?" he asked. "Nothing yet, sir," replied Communications Officer Yeol. "Just empty space and some strange energy readings. Probably natural phenomena." Engineer Dohyun walked onto the bridge, wiping his hands on a cloth. "Captain, I've finished the drive adjustments. We should be able to maintain this speed for the rest of the journey without any problems." "Good work," Taman said. "How's the crew holding up?" "Everyone's eager to get home. It's been a long mission." Taman nodded. They had spent months exploring systems that appeared empty on their long-range scans. The universe seemed big and lonely, with Earth being the only world with intelligent life they had found. Back in the Hegemony Command Center, panic was spreading. High Chancellor Vexus had been called from his meditation chambers, and his ancient face showed the strain of sudden crisis. "Explain this situation," he demanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had ruled for over 1,000 years. Admiral Hyan activated the holographic display. "An unknown vessel has appeared in Sector Kepler 7. It's using technology we don't understand and moving at speeds that should be impossible. Have you attempted contact?" "Yes, sir. No response. Either they don't understand our signals, or they're ignoring us." Battle Commander Kyung stepped forward. "Sir, I recommend immediate interception. This could be a scout ship from a hostile force." Science Advisor Rena shook her head. "We should be careful. If they have technology this advanced, attacking them might be a mistake." High Chancellor Vexus studied the display. In his long life, he had seen the hegemony expand across the galaxy, bringing order to chaos. Every species they encountered followed predictable patterns. They either joined the hegemony peacefully or were forced to join after a brief conflict. No one had ever surprised them like this. "How many ships does our closest fleet have?" he asked. "Battle Group 7 is in the area," Admiral Hyon replied. 50 ships under Fleet Admiral Chan Wu. Order them to intercept, but not to attack. We need answers before we act. The Soul's Pride continued its journey home, unaware of the massive military response forming around them. Science Officer Hana was studying the strange energy readings that Yeol had mentioned. "Captain," she said, looking puzzled, "these energy signatures are definitely artificial. They're too organized to be natural." Taman walked over to her station. "What kind of artificial?" "I'm not sure. Maybe some kind of communication network or sensor grid. But it's huge. I'm picking up signals from multiple star systems. Could it be automated?" asked Jisoo. "Maybe. But the patterns suggest intelligence behind it. Active management." Taman felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying we're not alone out here?" Before Hana could answer, Tactical Officer Minji spoke up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple objects approaching our position. They're big and moving fast." The main screen showed dozens of ships emerging from hyperspace around them. Each vessel was massive, easily 10 times the size of the Soul's Pride. Their dark hulls bristled with weapon systems and sensor arrays. "Communications. Coming in," Yol reported. "It's in a language I don't recognize, but the tone sounds like a demand." Taman's military training kicked in. "Shields up. Ready the engines for emergency fold." "Sir," Do-Yun called from the engine room through the comm system. "The fold drive needs 30 seconds to charge. We may not have 30 seconds." On the Hegemony flagship, Fleet Admiral Chan Wu watched the human ship with growing amazement. Instead of stopping or trying to communicate, it was preparing to run. "Target their engines with a warning shot," he ordered. "Sir, our weapons officers report they can't get a target lock. The ship's energy signature is interfering with our systems. How is that possible?" "Unknown, sir. Their drive system is creating some kind of space distortion that's blocking our sensors." Chan Wu had been a fleet commander for 60 years. He had never encountered anything like this. "Signal the other ships. Surround them. Don't let them escape." Aboard the Soul's Pride, Captain Taman made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Instead of trying to communicate with the alien ships or surrendering to them, he chose the most human response possible. "We're leaving. Now." "But Captain," Yol protested, "maybe they're friendly. Maybe they just want to talk." 50 warships don't show up just to talk," Taman replied grimly. "Besides, we need to warn Earth. If there are hostile aliens out here, our world needs to know." The fold drive engaged, and space twisted around the Soul's Pride. To the Hegemony ships, it looked like the human vessel simply vanished, leaving only a brief energy signature and a lot of confused aliens. Fleet Admiral Chan Wu stared at the empty space where the strange ship had been. "Did anyone get readings on how they did that?" "No, sir. It wasn't hyperspace. It wasn't quantum tunneling. It was something completely different. Find them. Alert all commands. We have a new threat, and we don't understand it at all." The Soul's Pride reappeared in normal space several light years away, its crew shaken but alive. They had made first contact with an alien civilization, and it hadn't gone well. "Set course for Earth," Taman ordered. "Best possible speed." Humanity needs to know what's out here. As the human ship raced toward home, the hegemony mobilized. For the first time in their long history, they faced something they didn't understand, something that could challenge their control of the galaxy. The age of human-alien contact had begun, and neither side was ready for what would come next. Chief Engineer Minho stared at the data streams flowing across his screens. For 3 days, he had been studying every piece of information the hegemony sensors had gathered about the strange human ship. None of it made sense. "Show me the energy." "Readings again," he told his assistant, technician Ara. The holographic display lit up with swirling patterns of energy that hurt to look at directly. "These power signatures are impossible, sir. According to our physics, that ship should have torn itself apart the moment it activated its drive system." Minho rubbed his tired eyes. He had been the hegemony's top engineer for 40 years, but this human technology made him feel like a student again. "What about the space distortion readings?" "That's even stranger," Ara replied. "They're not using hyperspace at all. Instead, they're somehow folding normal space around their ship. It's like, imagine taking a piece of cloth and bringing two distant points together by bunching up the fabric between them. But that would require the energy output of a star," Minho protested. "That's what our calculations say. But somehow, they're doing it with a ship smaller than one of our destroyers." Across the command center, Intelligence Officer Sola was having her own problems. She had been trying to trace where the human ship had come from, but the results were disturbing. "Director," she called to Intelligence Chief Gunwoo, "I need you to see this." Gunwoo walked over to her station, his expression serious. "What have you found?" "I've been backtracking the unknown vessel's trajectory. Look at this." The display showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with a glowing line showing the ship's path. "If I reverse their course, they came from the outer spiral region. That's empty space. We surveyed that area 500 years ago." "That's what I thought too. But look at these energy readings." Sola highlighted several points along the ship's path. "These are locations where they made previous fold jumps. The energy signatures match." Gunwoo studied the data carefully. "You're saying they made multiple stops out there?" "Yes, sir. At least 6 different locations. And here's the scary part. Some of these energy signatures are weeks old. They've been traveling through our space for a long time without us knowing." The implications hit Gunwoo like a physical blow. The hegemony's greatest strength was their sensor network. Nothing moved through their territory without being detected and tracked. If humans could travel undetected for weeks, what else might be out there? Meanwhile, the Soul's Pride was racing toward Earth at maximum speed. In the ship's science lab, Officer Hana was analyzing the data they had collected about the alien fleet. "Captain," she called over the comm system, "you need to see what I've found." Taemin arrived in the lab a few minutes later, followed by Engineer Do-yun and Navigation Officer Jisoo. "What is it?" Hana pointed to her display screen. "I've been studying the energy patterns from those alien ships. They're definitely using some kind of faster-than-light travel, but it's completely different from our fold drive." "How different?" Do-hyun asked. "They seem to use existing channels in space, like highways or tunnels that connect different star systems. Our sensors detected at least 12 of these pathways in that area alone." Jisoo leaned forward with interest. "So they can only travel along specific routes?" "It looks that way, but here's the interesting part. There are hundreds of these channels, maybe thousands. They connect systems across the entire galaxy." Taemin felt his stomach drop. You're saying this alien civilization controls the whole galaxy? It's possible. The network is too organized to be natural. Someone built it! Do-Yun shook his head in amazement. No wonder they were surprised by our ship. We weren't using their highway system. We were driving across their lawn. Back in Hegemony Space, Research Director Sunho was briefing the High Command about the human technology. The meeting room was filled with the most important leaders in the galaxy, and they all looked worried. Based on our analysis, Sunho began, the human vessel uses a completely unknown form of faster-than-light travel. Instead of using hyperspace tunnels like every other species, they manipulate space-time directly. High Chancellor Vexis leaned forward in his chair. Is this technology superior to ours? In some ways, yes. Their drive system allows them to travel anywhere without using established hyperspace lanes. They can appear in locations we consider inaccessible, Battle Commander Kyung interrupted. But surely our weapons are more advanced. One ship against 50 should be no contest. Sunho looked uncomfortable. That's where things get complicated. We weren't able to get weapon locks on their vessel because their drive system creates interference with our targeting systems, and their ship design doesn't match any known patterns. What do you mean? Asked Science Advisor Rena. Every spacefaring civilization we've encountered builds ships the same basic way. Heavy armor, large weapons, powerful shields. The human ship has none of these features. It's built for speed and maneuverability instead. Defense Coordinator. Wu Jin spoke up. Maybe they're not a military threat. Maybe they're just explorers. That's what worries me most, Sunho replied. If they can develop this technology for exploration, what could they do if they decided to build warships? The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. The hegemony had maintained peace through strength for 2,000 years. The idea that someone might challenge them with completely different technology was terrifying. On Earth, the Soul's pride was finally approaching home. Communications Officer Yol had been trying to contact Earth Space Command for the past hour. Soul's pride to Earth Control, urgent priority message, he broadcast. The response came quickly. Earth Control to Soul's Pride. You're 3 days early. Is everything all right? Captain Taman took the microphone. Earth Control, this is Captain Taman. We need to speak with Director General Yunbi immediately. We have discovered alien life, and it's not friendly. There was a long pause. Soul's Pride, please confirm your last transmission. Confirmed Earth Control. We made contact with an alien civilization. They have advanced technology and a large military force. Humanity is not alone in the galaxy. Within hours, the Soul's Pride was docking at Luna Station, Earth's main orbital facility. Director General Yunbi was waiting for them with her senior staff, including Strategic Planning Officer Jihoon and Chief Scientist Ariam. Tell me everything, Yunbi said as soon as the crew was assembled in the briefing room. Taman activated the holographic display and showed the recordings of their encounter with the Hegemony fleet. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the projectors. 50 ships, Jihoon said finally. All larger than anything we have. But they couldn't catch us, Jisoo added. Our fold drive technology gave us an advantage. Chief Scientist Ariam studied the alien ship designs carefully. These vessels are built for a different kind of warfare. Heavy weapons, thick armor. They're designed to fight other ships like themselves. What does that mean for us? Yunbi asked. It means they've been fighting the same way for a long time, Ariam replied. They're not used to facing something completely different. Engineer Do-yun nodded in agreement. Their technology is advanced, but it's also old, refined over centuries. Our fold drive is new and unpredictable. Director General Yunbi looked around the room at her advisors. Recommendations? We need to assume they'll come looking for us, Ji-hoon said. If they control most of the galaxy, they won't ignore the appearance of a new spacefaring species. How long do we have? Yunbi asked. Taemin thought carefully. If they can trace our path back to Earth, maybe a few months. If they have to search for us, maybe longer. Then we use that time to prepare, Yunbi decided. Arium, I want you to start working on military applications for our technology. Ji-hoon, begin mobilizing our space forces. And Taemin, I want you to prepare a report on everything you learned about these aliens. As the meeting ended, everyone understood that humanity's peaceful expansion into space was over. They were no longer alone in the universe, and their new neighbors didn't seem interested in being friends. In hegemony space, the search for the human ship continued. Scout vessels were deployed to every system in 100 light-year radius. Long-range sensors were recalibrated to detect the strange energy signatures of human technology. But the hegemony was looking in the wrong places. They expected the humans to behave like every other species they had encountered, predictably and logically. They didn't understand that humans approached problems differently. The stage was set for a confrontation between two completely different ways of thinking about space travel, warfare, and survival. Neither side understood the other, and both sides were preparing for the worst. Fleet Admiral Chan Woo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Order, watching the tactical display with growing frustration. For 2 weeks, Battle Group 7 had been searching for the mysterious human vessel with no success. Any new contacts? He asked his sensor officer. Nothing, sir. We've scanned 47 systems and found no trace of the unknown ship. Chan Woo's second-in-command, Captain So-hyun, stepped up beside him. Sir, maybe they left this region entirely. They could be anywhere in the galaxy by now. No, Chan Woo said firmly. They came from somewhere, and they're going back there. We just need to figure out where. 3 systems away, the Soul's Pride was hiding in an asteroid field, its fold drive powered down to minimum levels. Captain Taemin had made the decision not to return directly to Earth. Instead, they were gathering intelligence about their new alien neighbors. Passive sensors only, he reminded his crew. We can't risk being detected. Science Officer Hana was studying the energy readings from nearby star systems. Captain, I'm picking up massive amounts of traffic on those hyperspace channels, ships moving between systems constantly. How many ships are we talking about? Asked Tactical Officer Minji. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. This isn't just a military force. It's an entire civilization. Engineer Do-hyun whistled softly. And we thought we were making good progress with 12 operational starships. Navigation Officer Jisoo was plotting hyperspace routes on her display. These channels connect everything. It's like a galactic highway system. But look at this. There are no routes leading toward our region of space. What does that mean? Taemin asked. Either they never explored our area, or they wrote it off as empty and not worth visiting. That explains why they were so surprised to see us, Communications Officer Yeol added. We came from a direction they weren't watching. Meanwhile, back on the Hegemony flagship, Intelligence Officer Sola had made a breakthrough. Admiral, I think I know how to find them. Chan Woo turned away from the tactical display. Explain. We've been searching randomly, but we should be thinking about their motivation. They appeared in our space, collected information, and then left. Where? Would they go with that information? Back to whoever sent them, Chanwu realized. Exactly. And their trajectory when they escaped suggests they were heading toward the outer spiral region. If we follow that path, we might find their home. Chanwu smiled for the first time in days. Set course for the outer spiral. Maximum speed. The Soul's Pride continued its reconnaissance mission, unaware that the alien fleet was now heading in the right direction. They had moved deeper into hegemony space, using their fold drive to make short jumps between asteroid fields and nebulae. "Captain," Hana reported, "I'm detecting a large installation 3 light-years from here. The energy signatures suggest it's some kind of communication hub. Can we get closer without being detected?" "Maybe. There's a nebula nearby that should hide our energy signature." Taemin made his decision. "Do it. We need to learn as much as we can about these aliens." The Soul's Pride folded space and reappeared inside the nebula. Through the swirling gases, they could see a massive space station surrounded by dozens of ships. The station was clearly artificial, a giant ring structure with multiple docking arms and sensor arrays. "My God," Minji whispered. "That thing is bigger than Luna Station." "And it's just a communication hub," Yawl added. "If this is how they build their civilian infrastructure, what do their military bases look like?" Hana was recording everything with the ship's sensors. "I'm picking up transmissions between the station and ships throughout this region. It looks like some kind of coordination center." As they watched, a group of ships arrived through one of the hyperspace channels. The vessels were sleek and fast, nothing like the heavy warships they had encountered before. "Those look like patrol ships," Minji observed. "They're spreading out to search the surrounding systems." "They're looking for us," Taemin realized. Time to leave. But before they could activate their fold drive, alarms began sounding on the alien station. The patrol ships immediately changed course, heading directly toward the nebula. "They've found us," Yawl reported. "Incoming transmission. Put it on screen." The main display showed an alien face, humanoid, but clearly not human. The creature had pale blue skin and 4 eyes, and when it spoke, the words were harsh and commanding. "Unknown vessel, you will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. Failure to comply will result in your destruction." Communications Officer Yawl looked at his translation computer. "Sir, I'm getting a partial translation, but a lot of the meaning is unclear. Their language structure is completely different from anything we know." "Can you respond?" "I can try, but there's no guarantee they'll understand us either." Taemin nodded. "Send this. We are explorers from a distant system. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic contact." Yawl input the message into the translation system and broadcast it on all frequencies. On the alien station, communications, Specialist Borum was trying to make sense of the human response. "Station Commander," she called to her superior. "The unknown vessel is transmitting, but our translation protocols can't process their language." Commander JQ looked at the garbled text on his screen. "What can you make out?" "Some of the concepts translate as peace and contact, but other parts suggest territorial claims and resource demands. It's very aggressive." JQ frowned. In his experience, unknown ships that appeared in restricted space and made territorial demands were usually pirates or raiders. "Signal the patrol ships. Intercept and disable." Aboard the Soul's Pride, the crew watched as the alien patrol ships surrounded them. There were 8 vessels, each one larger and better armed than their exploration ship. "Captain," Minji reported, "they're charging weapons." "Evasive maneuvers," Taman ordered. "Prepare for emergency fold." "Sir," Do-hyun called from engineering, "if we fold jump from inside this nebula, the interference could damage our drive system." Better than being captured or destroyed. The lead patrol ship opened fire, sending a bolt of energy that barely missed the Soul's Pride's hull. Taman realized that his message of peace had been misunderstood as a threat. "Full power to engines. Get us out of here." The Soul's Pride shot forward through the nebula, dodging energy blasts from the pursuing patrol ships. Their smaller size and superior maneuverability kept them ahead of the larger alien vessels, but they couldn't escape the nebula while under fire. "Captain," Jisoo called from navigation, "there's a clear path to open space at bearing 270, but we'll have to go through their formation." "Do it!" The human ship changed course suddenly, diving toward the cluster of patrol vessels. The alien ships tried to adjust their formation, but the Soul's Pride was already past them, racing toward the edge of the nebula. As soon as they reached open space, engineer Do-hyun activated the fold drive. Space twisted around the ship, and they vanished, leaving the frustrated patrol ships behind. On the station, Commander Jaikyu watched the tactical display with amazement. "How did they do that?" "Unknown, sir," his tactical officer replied. "They didn't use any hyperspace channel we know about. Get me Fleet Admiral Chan-woo immediately." When the connection was established, Chan-woo appeared on the screen, looking tired and annoyed. "What is it, Commander?" "Sir, we've had contact with the unknown vessel. They appeared in the Kepler-9 nebula, observed our station, and then escaped when we tried to intercept." Chan-woo's expression changed to intense interest. "Did you get any useful data?" "Yes, sir. Sensor readings and communication intercepts. But, Admiral, there's something else. They tried to communicate with us." "What did they say?" "Our translators couldn't process their language properly, but it appeared to be territorial threats and resource demands." Chan-woo nodded grimly. "Hostile intent confirmed. Did they show any signs of advanced weapons?" "No, sir. Their ship appears to be lightly armed, but their drive technology is definitely superior to ours." "Understood. Continue the search. They can't hide forever." The Soul's Pride reappeared in an empty star system far from the communication hub. The crew was shaken by their close escape, but they had learned valuable information. "Well," Taman said, trying to lighten the mood, "I think we can officially say that first contact didn't go as planned. They thought we were threatening them," Yol said, still puzzled by the translation problems. "Everything I said about peace and exploration came out wrong." "Their language is too different," Hana added. "We need more data before we can communicate properly. And they need the same thing," Jisoo pointed out. "They probably think we're hostile too." Taman made a decision that would have far-reaching consequences. "Set course for Earth, best possible speed. We need to warn our people that we're dealing with a misunderstanding that could turn into a war." The Soul's Pride folded space and began the long journey home, carrying the news that humanity's first contact with an alien civilization had failed catastrophically. Both sides now believed the other was hostile, and both sides were preparing for conflict. Neither the humans nor the hegemony realized that their problem wasn't technology or military strength. It was the simple fact that they thought about the universe in completely different ways. What seemed like aggression to one side looked like reasonable caution to the other. Captain Taman never expected to find himself in a space battle, especially not against 50 alien warships. But there he was, watching the hegemony fleet spread out in a perfect attack formation around the Soul's Pride. "Shields at maximum," he ordered, though he knew their exploration ship's defensive systems were no match for military vessels. "All hands to battle stations." The crew moved with practiced efficiency despite their fear. They had trained for emergency situations, but nothing had prepared them for this. Communications Officer Yeol was still trying to establish contact with the alien fleet. "Soul's Pride to alien vessels," he broadcast. "We are peaceful explorers. Please respond." Fleet Admiral Chan Wu received the transmission aboard his flagship. The translation systems had been improved since the last encounter, but the message still came through garbled. "They're claiming to be explorers again," Communications Specialist Borum reported. "But the context suggests military reconnaissance." "Typical. Deception," Chan Wu muttered. "Signal all ships. Disable their engines and capture the vessel intact. We need prisoners for interrogation." The first energy blast barely missed the Soul's Pride's hull. On the human ship, Tactical Officer Minji watched her sensors with growing alarm. "Captain, they're using some kind of particle beam weapons. Our shields can't handle many direct hits." "Options?" Taemin asked. Engineer Do-Yun's voice came over the comm system from the engine room. "Captain, I have an idea. What if we don't fight them the way they expect?" "Explain." "These ships are built for traditional space combat. Long-range weapons, heavy armor, formation flying. But our fold drive gives us something they don't have. The ability to appear anywhere instantly." Taemin understood immediately. "Hit and run tactics." "Exactly. We fold in close, hit their weak spots, and fold out before they can respond." Science Officer Hana added her analysis. "I've been studying their ship designs. They have heavy armor on the front and sides, but their engine sections are less protected." "Do it," Taemin decided. "Minji, target their engine systems. Short, precise strikes. Do-Hyun, be ready for rapid fold jumps." The Soul's Pride suddenly vanished from the center of the hegemony formation. A second later, it reappeared directly behind one of the alien destroyers. Weapons Officer Jae-hyun fired a concentrated burst at the ship's engine housing before the Soul's Pride folded away again. On the hegemony flagship, Chief Tactical Analyst So-min watched the impossible maneuver with shock. "Admiral, they just appeared inside our formation. That's not possible. How did they get past our shields?" "They didn't, sir. They bypassed them entirely. They materialized behind the Resolute's defensive perimeter." Chan Wu had been fighting space battles for 60 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Signal all ships. Tighten formation. Don't let them get close." But the Soul's Pride was already making its second attack. This time it appeared above the formation, diving down to strike at a cruiser's communication array before vanishing again. "They're not following any tactical doctrine we know," So-min reported, her voice strained. "Random attack patterns, no formation, no predictable movement." The human ship struck again and again, each time appearing from a different direction. The hegemony ships tried to adjust their formation, but they couldn't predict where the next attack would come from. "Damage report," Chan Wu demanded. 7 ships with engine damage, 3 with disabled communication systems, and the destroyer Steadfast has lost its main weapons array, his aide replied. "And the human ship?" "No apparent damage, sir. They're avoiding our return fire completely. Aboard the Soul's Pride, the crew was working with desperate efficiency. Engineer Do-Hyun was pushing the fold drive beyond its normal limits, making jump after jump without the usual cooling periods. "How much longer can we keep this up?" Taemin asked. "The drive is overheating," Do-Hyun replied. "Maybe 10 more jumps before we risk permanent damage." Then we make them count. Hana, what's their weakest ship? The command cruiser on the left. Flank. I'm reading fluctuations in their power grid. Minji, concentrated fire on that target. Take out their main weapons. The Soul's Pride folded space once more, appearing at point-blank range from the damaged cruiser. Jae-hyun's weapons tore through the ship's weakened defenses, leaving it drifting helplessly. But the hegemony was adapting too. Captain So-hyun, Chan-woo's tactical advisor, had been studying the human attack patterns. Admiral, I think I see what they're doing. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to disable us. Every attack targets engines, weapons, or communications. Your point? They're fighting defensively. They want to escape, not win a battle. Chan-woo considered this. Signal the outer ships. Pull back and give them an escape route. When they try to leave, we'll be ready. The hegemony formation began to open, creating what appeared to be a gap in their encirclement. On the Soul's Pride, Navigation Officer Jisoo spotted the opening immediately. Captain, they're giving us a way out. Taemin stared at the tactical display suspiciously. It's too convenient. They're setting a trap. So what do? We don't take the bait. Do-hyun, one more fold jump. Take us directly through their flagship. Through it, sir? Not into it. Through the space it's occupying. We'll fold right past their shields and emerge on the other side. The fold drive engaged, and the Soul's Pride disappeared from the hegemony sensors. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the human ship materialized directly behind the flagship, its weapons already firing. The blast struck the Eternal Order's main sensor array, blinding the command ship to everything around it. In the confusion that followed, the Soul's Pride folded away one final time, escaping the battle zone completely. Fleet Admiral Chan-woo stood on his bridge, staring at the empty space where the human ship had been. Around him, damage reports were coming in from across the fleet. No ships destroyed, but over half his force was damaged or disabled. How is this possible? He asked quietly. Soman was studying the tactical recordings of the battle. Sir, they never fought the way we expected. Every standard combat doctrine assumes both sides will engage at optimal range with maximum firepower. But they ignored all of that. They used their mobility as a weapon, Captain So-hyun added. Instead of trying to overpower us, they outmaneuvered us. Chan-woo felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: doubt. Casualties? None, sir. They targeted our systems, not our crew compartments. They could have killed thousands of our people, but they chose not to, Chan-woo realized. What kind of enemy shows mercy in battle? Meanwhile, the Soul's Pride was racing toward the edge of hegemony space. The fold drive was overheated and making concerning noises, but they were alive and free. Damage report, Taemin called. Minor hull damage from near misses, Minji reported. Shields are down to 30%, and the fold drive needs immediate maintenance. Engineer Do-hyun sounded exhausted. Captain, we can't do that again. The drive system is held together with hope and spare parts at this point. We won't have... Two, Taemin assured him. We're going home. Science Officer Hana was analyzing the data from the battle. Captain, I learned something important about their tactics. They fight in rigid formations with predetermined strategies. They're not used to adaptive combat. That's their weakness, Jisoo added. They're powerful, but they're predictable. And we're the opposite, Yeol pointed out. Weak, but unpredictable. Taemin nodded. Get that information ready for transmission to Earth. Our people need to know what we're facing and how to fight them. Back in hegemony space, news of the battle was spreading quickly. High Chancellor Vexus called an emergency session of the Grand Council, and the debate was intense. One ship defeated an entire battle group, Battle Commander Kyung said, still, not believing the reports. How do we explain this to our citizens? We don't, Science Advisor Rena replied. We figure out how they did it and develop countermeasures. Or we negotiate, suggested Diplomatic Advisor Yunwoo. Maybe they're not as hostile as we think. High Chancellor Vexus studied the battle reports carefully. The humans had disabled hegemony ships but hadn't destroyed them. They had shown mercy when they could have shown violence. Recommendations? He asked the council. Full mobilization, Kyung insisted. If one of their ships can do this much damage, we need to assume they have more. Caution, Rena countered. We need to understand their technology before we act. Communication, Yunwoo added. We need to find a way to talk to them properly. Vexus made his decision. We do all three. Mobilize our fleets, study their technology, and find a way to communicate. But remember, they've shown us more mercy than we've shown them. The Soul's pride finally crossed into what they hoped was neutral space, battered but victorious. They had faced impossible odds and survived through ingenuity and courage. But both sides knew this was just the beginning. The hegemony now understood they were facing something unprecedented, an enemy that didn't fight by their rules. And humanity was about to learn that they had attracted the attention of the largest military force in the galaxy. The next phase of the conflict would determine whether two civilizations could find a way to coexist, or whether the galaxy was big enough for both of them. High Chancellor Vexus had not called a full Grand Council meeting in 300 years. The massive chamber on Hegemony Prime was filled with representatives from every major world in the Empire. The air hummed with nervous energy as thousands of delegates waited to hear why they had been summoned. Citizens of the Hegemony, Vexus began, his ancient voice carrying across the vast hall, we face a crisis unlike any in our history. A new species has appeared in our galaxy, and they possess technology that challenges everything we thought we knew about warfare. Strategic Advisor Yunji activated the holographic display at the center of the chamber. The recording of the Souls, Pride's battle against Battle Group 7, played for all to see. Shocked gasps echoed through the hall as delegates watched one small ship outmaneuver 50 of their finest warships. This vessel came from the outer spiral region, Yunji explained. We don't know how many more ships they have, but we must assume they have an entire fleet equipped with similar technology. Military Coordinator Dongyuk stood up, his scarred face grim with determination. Honored Chancellor, I recommend immediate preemptive strikes against their home systems. We cannot allow this threat to grow. With respect, Diplomatic Corps Leader Inwoo interrupted. We don't even know where their home systems are. And more, importantly, should we really start a war with a species we've barely met? The hall erupted in debate. Some delegates supported military action, while others argued for caution. For the first time in centuries, the hegemony was deeply divided about how to respond to a crisis. Meanwhile, Earth was experiencing its own version of panic. Director General Yunbi stood in the Emergency Command Center deep beneath Luna Station, surrounded by humanity's top military and scientific leaders. Show me what we have, she ordered. Strategic Planning Officer Ji-hoon activated the display showing Earth's current military assets. 12 operational starships, sir. 8 exploration vessels like the Soul's Pride, 3 cargo haulers that we could convert for combat, and 1 prototype warship that's still in testing. The numbers were stark and depressing. Chief Scientist Ariam shook her head. Against a galactic empire with thousands of worlds and millions of ships, we might as well throw rocks. Then we don't fight their war, Captain Taman said from his position at the briefing table. We fight our war. Explain, Yunbi requested. They expect us to build big fleets and fight massive battles. Instead, we use our advantages: speed, unpredictability, and the fact that they don't understand how we think. Engineering Corps Director Wanho leaned forward with interest. What are you suggesting? Asymmetric warfare. Small, fast ships that can strike anywhere and disappear. We turn every civilian vessel into a potential military threat. We make it impossible for them to predict where we'll hit next. Captain Do Yon of the newly commissioned Busan's Defiance nodded in agreement. The fold drive gives us strategic mobility they can't match. We could hit targets across their entire empire simultaneously. But we'd need more ships, Jihoon pointed out. Then we build them, Ariam said, her scientific mind already working on the problem. Strip down our existing vessels. Focus on speed and fold drive capability. Forget armor and heavy weapons. We'll rely on mobility. Director General Yunbi made her decision. Do it. Full mobilization. Convert every ship we can, build as many new ones as possible, and prepare for a war we can't afford to lose. Back in hegemony space, Reconnaissance Commander Jamin was leading a covert mission to observe human space. His stealth ship, the Silent Observer, had been modified with the most advanced sensors available. Anything yet? He asked his sensor. Operator, negative, sir. These systems appear empty. No energy signatures, no artificial structures. Jamin frowned. According to their calculations, the human vessel should have come from this region. Keep scanning. They have to be here somewhere. Field Observer Yuna was monitoring communication frequencies, searching for any sign of human transmissions. Sir, I'm picking up faint signals from the third system. Very weak, but definitely artificial. Set course immediately. The Silent Observer moved deeper into human space, its crew unaware that they were being watched. Earth's early warning network had detected their approach hours ago, and Captain Minjae of the modified cargo hauler New Horizon was already moving to intercept. Target acquired, reported Tactical Officer Seulgi. One ship. Unknown configuration, moving on a search pattern. Looks like they're trying to find Earth, Minjae observed. We can't let them report back. The New Horizon had been one of the first ships converted for military use. Stripped of its cargo capacity and fitted with a military-grade fold drive, it was fast and maneuverable but lightly armed. Fold us in behind them, Minjae ordered. One quick strike? Then we're gone. The New Horizon appeared directly behind the Silent Observer, catching the hegemony ship completely by surprise. A concentrated burst of energy disabled the alien vessels. Communication array before it could send a warning. Unknown ship, Minjae broadcast. Shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded. On the Silent Observer, Jamin stared at his tactical display in shock. How did they sneak up on us? Our sensors should have detected them light years away. The same technology they used in the previous encounter, Yuna replied. They can appear anywhere without warning. Jamin made a quick decision. Full power to engines, evasive maneuvers. But the New Horizon was already making its second attack. This time targeting the hegemony ship's drive systems. Within minutes, the Silent Observer was drifting helplessly in space. Sir, Seulgi reported, their ship is disabled but intact. Do we capture it? Minjae considered the options. Capturing an alien ship would provide valuable intelligence, but it would also mean taking prisoners. Negative. We're not equipped for prisoners. Disable their sensors and leave them for their own people to find. The New Horizon made one final attack, destroying the silent observer's long-range sensors, then folded away. Jamin and his crew were left stranded but alive, with no way to communicate their discoveries. Meanwhile, similar encounters were happening throughout the border regions. Human ships were intercepting hegemony scouts, using hit-and-run tactics to prevent them from gathering intelligence about Earth's location or capabilities. On Hegemony Prime, Intelligence Director Sang Yun was briefing the High Command about the disturbing pattern of lost scout ships. "We've lost contact with 12 reconnaissance vessels in the past month," he reported. "All were investigating the outer spiral region." "Destroyed?" asked Battle Commander Kyung. "Unknown. Some were found drifting with their crews alive, but their ships disabled. Others simply vanished." High Chancellor Vexus studied the tactical map showing the locations where ships had been lost. "They're protecting something, probably their homeworld." "Or worlds," Strategic Advisor Yunji added. "For all we know, they could have an entire sector under their control." "What about our technology analysis?" Vexus asked. Chief Scientist Minho stepped forward. "We've made some progress understanding their drive system, but we're years away from developing countermeasures. Their technology is based on completely different principles than ours." "And our ship construction programs?" "We're building new vessels as fast as possible," Military Coordinator Dong-hyuk reported. "But it will take months to significantly increase our fleet size." Vexus felt the weight of his long rule pressing down on him. For 2,000 years, the hegemony had maintained peace through superior military strength. Now they faced an enemy that made their strength irrelevant. On Earth, the shipbuilding program was accelerating beyond all expectations. The lunar factories were working around the clock, turning out small, fast vessels designed for hit-and-run warfare. Each ship was different, incorporating lessons learned from the Soul's Pride's encounters. "How many ships do we have operational?" Director General Unbi asked during her daily briefing. 37 as of this morning, Engineering Director Wonho reported. "All equipped with military-grade fold drives and basic weapon systems." "Not enough," Strategic Officer Jahoon said. "Intelligence suggests the hegemony has at least 50,000 major warships. Then we make sure they can't use all of them at once," Captain Taman suggested. "We force them to spread their forces thin by threatening targets across their entire empire." Chief Scientist Ariam had been working on new applications for fold drive technology. "I've been thinking about defensive strategies. What if we could fold entire space stations or even planets out of normal space temporarily?" "Is that possible?" Yunbi asked. "Theoretically, yes, but it would require enormous amounts of energy and perfect timing." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the edge of the solar system. Captain Hyojin of the patrol ship Earth's Guard was reporting massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. "Director General," Hyojin's voice crackled over the comm. "You need to see this. We've got a hegemony fleet incoming. At least 200 ships." The room fell silent. Everyone knew this moment would come, but they had hoped for more time to prepare. "How long until they reach Earth?" Yunbi asked. "At their current speed, about 6 hours. Yunbi looked around the room at her advisors and commanders. "Gentlemen, ladies, it looks like our preparation time is over. Signal all ships. Operation Scattershot is now active." Across human space, War Council Director Seong-jun stood before the assembled hegemony fleet commanders, his expression grave. The holographic display showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with red markers indicating recent attacks on hegemony installations. "In the past 12 hours," he began. Human forces have struck 47 targets across 16 sectors. Communication relays, supply depots, and research stations have all been hit. Not destroyed, disabled. Fleet Admiral Chan Wu studied the pattern of attacks. They're everywhere at once. How is that possible with such a small fleet? Our intelligence estimates suggest they have fewer than 50 operational vessels, Strategic Advisor Yunji replied. But their mobility allows them to strike targets thousands of light years apart within hours of each other. What are their casualties? Asked Battle Commander Kyung. None, Songjun said quietly. They disable our installations and retreat before our response forces arrive. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to prove they can reach any target in the Empire. High Chancellor Vexus absorbed this information in silence. For 2 millennia, the hegemony had maintained order by demonstrating overwhelming military superiority. Now, a handful of small ships were making that superiority look meaningless. What about the fleet approaching their home system? He asked. Admiral Chan Wu's forces are still 6 hours out, Military Coordinator Dong Hyuk reported. But, sir, I'm beginning to question whether a direct assault is wise. Explain. Every time we've engaged these humans, they've responded in ways we didn't expect. If we attack their home world, they might do something we're not prepared for. Meanwhile, aboard the human command ship Soul's Pride, Captain Taemin was coordinating the defense of Earth. The ship had been refitted with advanced command and control systems, turning it into a mobile headquarters. Status report from all ships, he ordered. Communications Officer Yeol checked his displays. Operation Scattershot is proceeding as planned. All 37 ships have reached their targets and begun attack runs. Any casualties? The Dejans? Hope took some damage at the Centauri relay station, but they're still operational. Admiral Jong-hee, now commanding Earth's defense forces, reviewed the tactical situation. The hegemony fleet is still approaching. 200 ships led by their flagship. Let them come, Taemin said calmly. We're not going to fight them here. Sir? Jong-hee looked confused. Earth is too important to risk in a battle. We're going to make them an offer they can't refuse. Science Officer Hana was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. Captain, I'm picking up increased chatter on hegemony military frequencies. They're trying to coordinate responses to our attacks, but we're hitting targets faster than they can deploy reinforcements. Good. That's exactly what we want. Confusion and uncertainty. Engineer Do-hyun had been working on modifications to their full drive technology. Captain, I think I've figured out how to implement Dr. Ariam's idea about defensive folding. Show me. The engineering display lit up with complex mathematical equations. If we can synchronize the fold drives on multiple ships, we could create a space-time bubble around Earth. The planet would effectively disappear from normal space until we're ready to bring it back. How long could we maintain that? Maybe an hour, but it would be completely undetectable to their sensors. Taemin smiled. Perfect. Signal all defense ships. Prepare for synchronized fold on my command. The hegemony fleet commanded by Admiral Chan Wu dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The sight that greeted them was unlike anything they had expected. Instead of massive defense platforms and battle fleets, they found mostly empty space. Where are they? Asked Captain So-yun. Scanning, reported the sensor officer. I'm detecting 12 small ships in the outer system, but nothing around the third planet where their civilization should be. Could they have evacuated their entire population? Impossible. There isn't enough shipping capacity in the galaxy to move billions of people without us detecting it. Chanwu studied the tactical display. Something was wrong. The humans had shown they were clever tacticians, but abandoning their homeworld made no sense. "Signal the lead human vessel," he ordered. "Demand their surrender." Aboard the Soul's Pride, Communications Officer Yeol received the transmission. The translation systems had improved significantly, and the message came through clearly. "They're demanding our surrender," he reported to Captain Taman. "Send a response. Tell them we'd like to discuss terms." "Sir?" "Trust me." The message went out, and within minutes, Admiral Chanwu was staring at the image of a human face on his communications screen. Captain Taman looked calm and confident, not like someone whose world was about to be conquered. "I am Captain Taman of the Earth Defense Force," the human said. "I understand you wish to discuss surrender terms." "That is correct," Chanwu replied. "You will stand down your vessels and submit to hegemony authority." Taman smiled. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. We're not surrendering to you. We're offering you the chance to surrender to us." Chanwu almost laughed. "You have 12 ships against my 200. On what grounds do you make such an absurd demand?" "On the grounds that we've just demonstrated. We can strike any target in your empire at will. Your installations are defenseless against our technology. But more than that, we've made your homeworld disappear." "What?" Taman activated a display showing Hegemony Prime. The planet was gone, replaced by empty space. "Don't worry, we haven't destroyed it. We've just moved it temporarily outside normal space-time. Your population is safe, but they're completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy." On the Hegemony flagship, chaos erupted. Sensor operators confirmed that they could no longer detect Hegemony Prime. Communication with the capital world was impossible. "How?" Chanwu whispered. "The same technology that allows us to fold space for travel can be used for other purposes," Taman explained. "We can make entire star systems disappear, or we can make them reappear in different locations. Your military might is impressive, Admiral, but it's useless against an enemy you can't find." Chief Tactical Analyst Soman was running emergency scans. "Sir, I'm detecting similar anomalies around 17 other major hegemony worlds. They're all gone," Chanwu realized with growing horror that the humans had outmaneuvered the entire hegemony fleet. While his forces were concentrated around Earth, human ships had used their fold drive technology to make key worlds disappear across the galaxy. "What do you want?" he asked. "Peace," Taman replied simply. "We never wanted a war. We're explorers, not conquerors, but we won't be bullied or enslaved either. The hegemony doesn't negotiate with unknown species." Then perhaps it's time the hegemony learned some new tricks. The transmission ended, leaving Chanwu staring at a blank screen. His massive fleet was useless against an enemy that could make planets vanish. For the first time in his military career, he was completely outmatched. On Hegemony Prime, or rather, in the space-time bubble where Hegemony Prime was temporarily hidden, High Chancellor Vexus was meeting with his advisors. In emergency session. "How long can they maintain this displacement?" he asked. "Unknown," Science Advisor Rena replied. "Their technology is beyond our current understanding. Can we break free? Our scientists are working on it, but it could take years to develop. Countermeasures." Diplomatic Corps leader Inwu spoke up. "Perhaps we should consider the possibility that these humans are serious about peace. They could have destroyed our worlds instead of hiding them. They've demonstrated they can cripple our empire without firing a shot," Strategic Advisor Yunji added. Maybe it's time to try negotiation instead of conquest. Vexus was quiet for a long moment. In his 1,000-year rule, he had never faced a situation where the hegemony was clearly at a disadvantage. The humans had turned his greatest strength, the unified nature of his empire, into a weakness by making key worlds disappear. Contact their leader, he decided. Arrange a meeting. First Contact Specialist Jaewon had been working frantically to improve translation protocols. When the call came through from Hegemony Prime, he was ready. High Chancellor Vexus of the Galactic Hegemony wishes to speak with Earth's leadership. The message translated clearly. On Earth, Director General Yunbi took the call personally. The conversation that followed was tense but respectful, with both leaders gradually realizing they had more in common than they had differences. Your species is remarkable, Vexus admitted. In 2,000 years, no one has ever forced the hegemony to reconsider our approach to galactic governance. We never wanted to challenge your authority, Yunbi replied. We just wanted to be left alone to explore and grow. But you've proven that's impossible. Your technology gives you capabilities that threaten the established order. Then maybe the established order needs to change. The negotiation that followed lasted for days. Human ships continued their hit-and-run attacks across hegemony space, while diplomats from both sides worked out the details of a new relationship. The final agreement was unprecedented in galactic history. The hegemony would recognize human space as autonomous, while humans would share their fold drive technology with selected hegemony worlds. More importantly, both sides would work together to establish new principles of interstellar relations based on cooperation rather than domination. Capti. 2 years had passed since the peace treaty between humanity and the hegemony changed the galaxy forever. Captain Taman stood on the observation deck of the new space station orbiting Earth, watching ships from dozens of different species dock at the trading ports. The station was a marvel of combined technology. Human fold drive systems worked alongside hegemony energy shields and power cores from 3 other species that had joined what was now called the Galactic Cooperative. It was ugly by any single species standards, but it worked better than anything any of them could have built alone. Captain, Communications Officer Yeol called from the command center. We're receiving a priority message from the exploration ship Gwangju's Dream. Taman made his way to the communications station. Captain Su Yan had taken her ship deep into the unexplored regions beyond the old hegemony borders, searching for new species that might want to join their growing alliance. This is Captain Su Yan reporting from the Andromeda Spiral Arm. Her voice crackled over the long-distance transmission. We've made contact with a species called the Keth. They're different. Different how? Taman asked. They don't have physical bodies like us. They're pure energy beings living inside crystalline structures. But, Captain, they've been watching our conflict with the hegemony, and they want to meet with our leaders. This was exactly what Taman had hoped would happen. The galaxy was full of species that the hegemony had never encountered, and many of them were curious about the humans who had changed everything. Set up a diplomatic meeting, he ordered, and send the information to Director General Yunbi. On the planet below, Director General Yunbi was dealing with a different kind of problem. Earth had become the unofficial capital of the Galactic Cooperative, and representatives from 47 different species were arriving daily. The logistics of housing, feeding, and communicating with so many different life forms was a nightmare. How are we handling the methane-breathing delegates from Kepler 442? She asked her aide, Diplomatic Coordinator Hyunsu. We've set up a special atmospheric zone in Section 7 of the diplomatic quarter. The hegemony provided the environmental controls, and the Valaxians donated the methane. And the silicon-based life forms from the Vega system? That's more complicated. They communicate through electromagnetic pulses that interfere with our computer systems. Engineer Arium is working on a translation device. Yunbi rubbed her temples. Running a multi-species alliance was harder than fighting a war. Any word from the hegemony delegation? High Chancellor Vexus arrives tomorrow with a full diplomatic team. He wants to discuss the expansion protocols. The expansion protocols were humanity's latest contribution to galactic politics. Instead of the hegemony's old system of conquest and forced integration, the cooperative used voluntary membership based on mutual benefit. Species could join, contribute what they could, and receive help with their specific needs. It was messy and complicated, but it was also more stable than the old empire had ever been. Far across the galaxy, former Fleet Admiral Chan Wu was commanding a very different kind of mission. His ship, the Redemption, was leading a joint human hegemony fleet to help a species called the Zorani defend against automated war machines left over from an ancient conflict. Status report, he requested from his mixed crew of humans and hegemony. Personnel. The automated ships are maintaining their position around Zorani Prime, reported Tactical Officer Minji, one of the humans who had volunteered for the joint mission. But they're not attacking the evacuation ships. They're probably programmed to target military vessels only, suggested Hegemony Science Officer Kayla. The ancient wars were fought between organized fleets, not civilian populations. Captain Doyon, commanding the human ship Soul's Courage, opened a communication channel. Admiral, my engineering team thinks we can disable the automated ships by overloading their command circuits. But we'd need to get close enough to interface with their systems directly. Too dangerous, Chan Wu replied. Those ships have been waiting for thousands of years. They might interpret any approach as hostile. What if we don't approach as enemies? Minji suggested. What if we approach as archaeologists? The idea was typically human, creative and completely unexpected. Instead of fighting the ancient war machines, they would try to communicate with them as researchers interested in their historical value. It might work, Kayla admitted. Ancient programming often included provisions for non-combatants. Chan Wu made his decision. Do it, but if they start shooting, we retreat immediately. The joint fleet approached the automated defenders slowly, broadcasting messages of scientific interest instead of military challenges. To everyone's amazement, the ancient ships powered down their weapons and allowed the modern vessels to approach. Within hours, human and hegemony engineers were working together to safely deactivate machines that had been guarding an empty system for 10,000 years. The Zorani were so grateful that they immediately applied to join the Galactic Cooperative. Back on Earth, Chief Scientist Arium was working on her most ambitious project yet. The success of the fold drive technology had opened up possibilities that no one had imagined before the human hegemony conflict began. Show me the latest test results, she requested from her research team. Assistant Engineer Wanbin activated the holographic display. The microfold generators are working perfectly. We can now create space-time distortions small enough to affect individual objects instead of entire ships. Applications: instant communication across galactic distances, matter transportation without ships, and possibly even temporal manipulation on a small scale. Arium smiled. When she had first started working on fold drive technology, she had thought it was just a better way to travel between stars. Now it was revolutionizing every aspect of galactic civilization. Any word from the hegemony research stations? They're making progress on their end, too. Engineer Minho's team has figured out how to use fold space for energy storage. They can essentially create batteries that hold the power output of entire stars. And the other species? The Crystalline Collective from the Vega system wants to contribute their expertise in quantum mechanics. The Zorani have offered to share their knowledge of ancient technologies. Even the energy beings that Captain Suyian contacted are interested in collaboration. This was what excited Arium most about the new galactic order. Instead of one species dominating others, everyone was contributing their unique strengths to solve problems that no single civilization could handle alone. On the distant frontier, Captain Suyon was preparing for her meeting with the energy beings called the Keth. Her ship, the Guangzhou's Dream, had been modified with special equipment to allow communication with non-physical life forms. "Are we ready?" she asked Science Officer Jiwan. "As ready as we can be. The communication array should allow us to interact with their energy patterns directly. And the translation protocols? Based on human hegemony cooperation algorithms, but adapted for energy-based consciousness. It's completely untested." Suayan nodded. This was how humanity had always operated, trying new things and adapting as they went along. "Initiate contact." The response came as patterns of light that filled the ship's main display. Slowly, the translation systems began to convert the energy pulses into words. "Greetings, physical beings. We have observed your recent conflicts and their resolution. We are impressed by your approach to problem-solving." "Thank you," Suyan replied. "We're honored to meet you. Are you interested in joining our galactic cooperative? We are interested in something more ambitious. We believe it is time for the galaxy to move beyond the boundaries of single-star systems and single galaxies. We propose cooperation on an intergalactic scale." Suyan felt her heart race. Humanity had gone from a single-world species to galactic players in just a few years. Now they were being invited to think on an even larger scale. What would that involve? There are other galaxies with other civilizations facing similar challenges to what you recently resolved. Your approach to cooperation instead of conquest could be valuable to them as well. You're talking about spreading our alliance to other galaxies? We are talking about creating a network of cooperative civilizations across multiple galaxies. The energy required would be enormous, but with fold drive technology and the combined resources of many species, it might be possible. Suyan realized she was participating in a conversation that would shape the future of not just the galaxy, but the universe itself. "I'll need to discuss this with my leadership." "Of course. But consider this. Your species has already proven that different ways of thinking can solve problems that seemed impossible. Perhaps it is time to think on a truly cosmic scale." The transmission ended, leaving Suyon and her crew staring at displays full of star charts showing not just their galaxy, but dozens of others within potential reach of advanced fold drive technology. When the news reached Earth, Director General Hyunbi called an emergency session of the Galactic Cooperative Council. Representatives from all 47 member species gathered to discuss the most ambitious proposal in galactic history. "The implications are staggering," Strategic Advisor Jihoon reported. "If we can establish communication and cooperation with other galaxies, we'd be creating the